And then let's get into the heart of our presentation here. Let me move some things out of the way. So just in case you didn't know which webinar you're in Autumn Recharge, Revitalize Your Wellness. And let's start with getting to know me. So here's a picture of me. The first one is 20 years ago, 2002. And the one on the right was just last year. So the difference, 20 years ago, I was sick. In fact, I spent much of my life being sick and chronically fatigued. And this really surprises people when I tell them that, especially based upon what I do now. And it all began when I was about 40 years of age. I had just left an abusive marriage. I remember feeling like I was starting over again. So there was hope. It had been a very traumatic time, as I'm sure you can appreciate. And I was with my young son, so I was now a single parent, and I was embarking upon a better life. I was going back to school, I was going to a new state, and I thought all my stress was behind me. And then when I got to my new state, which was Massachusetts, the pain began. And it was excruciating pain. There was pain in my joints, pain in my muscles, all over body pain. And then after that came the headaches and the food sensitivities and sleeplessness. I spent so much time or many nights tossing and turning. So I did what we all do. I made an appointment to see a physician, and they ran tests and more tests and more tests, and everything came back normal. And from there, things got worse. I was exhausted all the time. Every day, I had to decide, where should I place my limited energy? If I played baseball with my son, then I couldn't do the laundry. If I cleaned the house, then I would have to rest for 2 days. And I felt desperately. Mostly, I wanted to be able to do just the normal things that a mother does with her young son. It would break my heart when he would want me to play baseball, and I'd have to say to him, I just can't do it, love, I'm just too tired. So this went on for months, and I wasn't getting any better. I was trying to negotiate this new life, this school. I was trying to do well. I was trying to get him settled. And yet, all the time, what I wanted to do was just curl up on the couch and sleep. So I started to try other things, as we all do. In fact, I tried everything. I tried every diet known to mankind. First off, I was a vegan because, meat's got to be the devil, right? And then when that didn't work, I was a carnivore because, all those vegetables must be killing us, all those insecticides and pesticides. And when that didn't work, I became a fruitarian because everything except fruit is probably dangerous to the immune system. And then that didn't work either. So I tried keto, which was called the Atkins diet then. I tried high carb. I tried low carb. I tried not eating anything at all, which sometimes helped. And I tried water fasting. I also tried other things. I tried float tanks, Adderall to lift the depression, antidepressants. And of course, I spent thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, it felt like, on supplements, each one promising to give me the energy that I didn't have. I also tried some other things, some things I'm not so proud of: light machines, sound machines, sauna therapy, colonics, which actually depleted me more. I tried sun gazing, moon gazing, positive affirmations, which I use to this day, chanting, healing mantras, and let us not sort of forget, I probably tried every self-help book that there was out there. So I went back to the doctors and started seeing specialists. I saw GI doctors, I saw endocrinologists, I saw infectious disease doctors, rheumatologists, testing for Lyme's, I got diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia, but nothing that was terribly concrete. Excuse me. And then, of course, they then sent me to see psychologists. And I still remember one psychologist telling me that I was depressed. And I remember bursting into tears because, yeah, of course I was depressed at this point, but I didn't start out depressed. I ended up being depressed because there seemed to be no help, no hope, and certainly no answers. Oh, excuse me. So I was still on that merry-go-round of doctor after doctor, and after seeing numerous specialists, I began to notice that not one of them really wanted to look at the underlying root cause. What they did is they delved into their bag, their tool bag, if you like, and gave me the latest medication to decrease those symptoms. And it wasn't a bad way to go because, you know, symptoms is what's hard to live with. But nobody could tell me what the root cause was. So it became that I felt that they were symptom chasers, all of them. And then one early spring day, it was the end of a semester. I remember feeling particularly tired at the end of this semester because I'd studied organic chemistry. But there came a true shift. And that's the day that I was diagnosed. And I was diagnosed with mercury toxicity. Finally, I had an answer of sorts. And then the question came, you know, where had I received all this mercury from? Where was the exposure from? I was asked where I grew up. And because I grew up in England, you know, how much fish did I eat? Was there mercury in the fish? Had I lived next to any ammunitions factories? Because apparently they use mercury. And I also learned the phrase, as mad as a Mad Hatter. Had I ever lived next to a hat making factory, as mercury is used in the hat felting process. So that's where the phrase comes from, because mercury actually crosses the blood-brain barrier and it can cause insanity. But we couldn't pin down how I had got this mercury toxicity. But fine, I didn't care where I got it from. I did know the root cause of my problems, and that to me was phenomenal. I felt hope again for the first time in years. And I began to think I could finally be healthy again once, after all, because if we have the problem, if we've diagnosed what that problem is and we've labeled it, then we can fix it, right? Now, it took 5 years for me to get mercury free. I had chelation therapy, which is using pretty aggressive drugs, often cancer drugs, to remove the mercury from the tissues and from the blood and from the brain, which has to cross the blood-brain barrier. I had all my mercury fillings removed, which I'm so sure some of you have. And after 5 years, I was finally mercury free. But it still didn't feel good. I still didn't have health. I still didn't have vitality. And I couldn't understand because I'd gone through all this expense because this wasn't, covered by insurance, gone through everything to find out that I still wasn't really well. And what I found was that the very treatment that was used to remove the mercury, to take the mercury out of my system, had left me totally depleted. I was still utterly exhausted and toxic now from all the treatments that I had received. So one of the things that I came across when I was going through this treatment was my bones and joints and muscles ached terribly. I'd got a diagnosis of fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, and the only relief I had from that is if I went to restorative yoga. In that class, the teacher turned around to me and said, you perhaps might want to see an Ayurveda practitioner. Well, I had no idea what Ayurveda was. I couldn't pronounce it. I didn't know whether it was a religion. I think he had to be vegetarian, but I wasn't sure. And I'm pretty sure there was some chanting in it, and it didn't sound like me at all. So I wasn't interested. But that very same practitioner came and gave a presentation at the yoga studio. So I went. And it made so much sense. She talked about eating seasonally. She talked about personalized medicine. She talked about using food as medicine. And she talked about the fact that there was no one size fits all. There's no one drug that suits all people. There's no one lifestyle. There's no one exercise that's right for all people, because each one of us is unique. And I kind of agreed with her. This kind of made sense to me. So I made an appointment with her, and that was the start of my Ayurveda journey. From her, I decided to sign up with her and do a program with her. And within a month, I started feeling better. I wasn't totally cured, it took years, but within a month, for the first time, I had energy. I had a little bit of vitality, I had a little bit of pep in my step. And that's when I decided, all right, there's got to be something more to this. And now I can pronounce it, so that's even better. So I studied or started looking into Ayurveda, and then there's a whole story about how I got to be an Ayurveda practitioner, which I'm not going to go into, but that was my start there. And if someone would have told me then that 15 years, when I first started on my Ayurveda journey, then I would fast forward, I would have an international clientele, be an author, a TED speaker, a contributing editor to a major international magazine, and be a speaker amongst some of the best thought leaders in health and medicine. And I wouldn't have believed them. And this is why. I could not have done this had I not gone through my own health challenges. And I suppose I want you to know that I get this in a very personal way because I've been through my own journey of chronic illness and disease. And since becoming free of my illness, it's been my mission to help others do the same. And many of you on this webinar tonight, I know, and you've had your own health journey too. So where am I around the world? I have a book, I'm an author, yay me, the 25-day Ayurveda cleanse. I'm also affiliated with the University of Pittsburgh Center for Integrative Medicine. And whilst I don't have a clinical practice there right now, I still do see, they still refer their clients to me. And I have a TED talk about how we need to change our healthcare system, and you can find that on YouTube. And we run the Ayurveda Sanctuary, Lisa and I, and this is a phenomenal retreat that we do once a year, where we do all the Ayurveda therapeutic therapies that are designed just for you. We have just a great time. So there's a lot of good things that we do. And of course, we are the holistic highway. But that's not all I do. So here's my son on the left-hand side. This is the one who wanted me to play baseball when I was too tired. He's all grown up now. And he is actually part of the business. And he's the strategic arm of the business. He points us in the right direction and makes sure that we are firmly planted in the science. Here's my dog at the top. He's a therapy dog, not my therapy dog, but I trained him to be a therapy dog for others. He's a Kapha dog. Can you tell? All he wants to do all day is sit there. He's 145 pounds. And if I let him, he would be 200. There's me in the middle with some of the products that we make under the Holistic Highway banner, some of the Dosha products. And then the plane just shows that my husband is a private pilot, and he does pilots and paws. You may have heard them, where he goes out and rescues dogs from normally high-kill animal shelters, often in the South, brings them up north to get rehomed. And one of the most phenomenal, I think, things that I do that I absolutely love is I belong to International Medical Relief. We go out with them, or I go out with them, and we set up mobile clinics around the world. These are a compilation of different pictures. Some of these are Cambodia, some of these are Thailand. The girl up at, or the woman on the left waving is actually my sister, Sally, and we do this together. This is our kind of thing, where it allows us to be together, and we do these mission trips, or we go out on these trips. So I'm at the bottom there. We're not trained medical people, we're just gophers. We do whatever they want us to do. So that's all about me, and probably enough about me. Let's talk about seasons. Let's get back to seasons. And it's easy to get into a routine where we eat, we work, and we exercise in the same ways day after day. But did you know that microbes in the air change from season to season? Did you also know that microbes in your gut change from season to season? And did you know that you have receptors in your brain for hormones that also change seasonally? So what does that mean? It means we are seasonal beings. And it also means that we got to live in sync and in harmony with nature's rhythms if we want to survive and we want to thrive and we want to enjoy life on this planet. So Ayurveda has been making this case for thousands of years, and today this knowledge has been repackaged in what we now call circadian medicine, which is based on Nobel Prize winning science. So the benefits of syncing up with nature's circadian rhythms are well supported by this new science of circadian medicine. So what that means is it seems that modern science has finally caught up with what we've known for thousands of years. We are intimately connected with nature, with the earth, and we have to rotate our diets throughout the year. As I said, we now know that the human microbiome is designed to shift seasonally. There are specific microbes, for example, that increase in summer to support high carbohydrate digestion, while others increase in winter, and that helps us better break down fats and fiber. Neurotransmitters, for example, like serotonin, dopamine, neurotrophic factors, these are light sensitive, which means they're going to support our mood more so in the summertime, less effectively in those winter months. And that's why we can get things like seasonal affective disorder or those winter blues, or just don't feel quite as great in the winter. So seasonal eating then provides the right foods to be digested by the right microbes. What that means is those microbes are going to inoculate the gut in a seasonal manner. But if we chronically eat out of season, and a lot of people don't even know what's in season anymore because we're so far removed from our foods, and we can get anything at the grocery store, can't we? So when we eat out of season, what this does is it leaves the body ill-equipped or unable to digest in the way that we were designed. And this is a big problem for us as human beings. You know, many of us or many humans will eat the same foods day after day, year after year, regardless of seasons. And I don't mean the exact same things, but when you look at the variety of foods that we eat, it's actually very, very small. So this type of eating then is only going to feed a small portion of bacteria in the gut. So if you're only feeding a small portion of gut bacteria, the other bacteria is going to proliferate. That's where we get things like SIBO or some of the other digestive disorders. And it is interesting that 85% of Americans have digestive issues. That means they've gone to a physician and being prescribed something like an antacid or something for constipation. And we know this. I mean, just walk into any CVS and there are aisles upon aisles of Gas-X, fiber, things to stop constipation. I mean, there's all kinds of things for us. Now, I understand that nutritional science says broccoli is good for you, and we know that. And you should probably eat it to improve your health, but it does not grow in every single season. That means do not eat broccoli or any other food for that matter throughout the whole year. So why is this important? And it's because food, like everything else in nature, is delicately balanced. Eating seasonally may be the most powerful way to keep your circadian rhythms in check. And, you know, why is it so difficult for us to find a single diet that works for all humans? And when we look at food and when we look at eating, we have made eating complicated, haven't we? There are more diets and theories about diets than there are, you know, days in a year. But let's look at the natural world. Animals know nothing about carbs, fats, or calories. When I look at the deer, because we have wild deer here, they're not checking their RDAs. when I look at the squirrels, they're not saying, oh, how many carbs or how many fat grams have I had? They seem to manage pretty well without having to know all the macros and all the micros in their foods. Animals have lived the same way, eating the same foods each season, just as our ancestors did. Yet during the last century, despite our supposed superior knowledge of science and our grasp of technology, we've taken a roller coaster ride from one ineffectual diet to another. And there's enough out there. Every other week or month, there's a fad diet. The only research lab that has been proven to be consistent over time is nature itself, which has been feeding humanity for hundreds of years with no confusion at all. Nature's blueprint for our nutrition is an annual cycle. As the seasons blend from one to another, we change our clothing, we change what we wear, the outdoor activities that we engage in, even the way we set our clocks. But how much thought do we ever give to changing the kinds of foods that we eat? And just give a thumbs up in chat. Are you one that tends to eat seasonally? Now, you're a self-selected group. Many of you are my clients, so you better be eating seasonally. But in general, is this something that you tend to do? Just let us know. I guess I should put chat up so I can see it. Sometimes, yeah. Yes. It's also hard to know what's in season when you go to the grocery store, unless you've got access to a farmer's market or the farm stands. You know, it's really hard to know what's in season. Yep, need to get better. Love warm soups, cold salads, need to get better at it. Great. So let's move on to then what some of these things are. Let's move on to the fall diet. And let's talk about fall. Picture this: a crisp, juicy apple, a hearty bowl of pumpkin soup. These are the superheroes of fall foods, and we'll sort of go into and share why. But first off, let's look at the qualities of fall. And we're not used to so much in our Western world looking at things in terms of qualities. But when we think of fall, we think of change. It's changeable. You know, the weather can be cold one day, it can feel like summer, it can feel like winter, it can be windy one day, it can rain one day. There's a lot of variability. There's a lot of change in fall. It's also cold. The air gets colder, it gets drier, we lose the humidity of summer, and it's mobile. Things fall off trees, leaves fall off trees, petals fall off flowers. There is a sense of mobility about this season. You know, that quintessential fall day where the leaves are blowing, the wind is blowing, has all these qualities in it. And these are the qualities of Vata, or they're all related to Vata dosha, which means this is how we can feel in our body and our minds in fall. So remembering the qualities of the season and those of Vata dosha, what we see in ourselves then is dryness, cold, excess movement, a sensitive nervous system, confusion, possibly brain fog, possibly insomnia, often stiffness in the joints, scattered thoughts, constipation, and anxiety. And how many of you feel that? We're coming into fall right now. How many of you are beginning to feel some of this? Maybe your digestion's just a little off. Maybe you're not sleeping as well. Maybe you're beginning to wake up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Maybe there's just a little bit more swirling in the mind. How many of you are feeling that? Yep. Catherine says, yep. So by refining our habits and foods in the fall, we can avoid getting derailed. And that's the whole point of changing things out seasonally. Yeah. So we then want to think about those opposite qualities then. Think warm soups and stews, a woolly scarf around your neck, a hat to cover your ears, daily relaxation, meditation, and the one word for fall, Routine, routine, routine. So let's look at some suggestions to help. Let's look at some nourishing and grounding foods for fall, but we just need to look around to gain clues for our ideal diet. Bright orange sweet pumpkins, squash, root vegetables, sweet pears, apples, plums. These are all predominant at the farmer's market, and they are also on the grocery shelves as well. And some of our favorites. Fall is the perfect opportunity to make sure that we're getting enough oils and good fats in our diet. And unfortunately, in our diet way of thinking, fats have got a pretty bad rap. We tend to avoid them because we tend to feel they're going to put on weight. But what fats do is they lubricate our joints. They're going to bring warmth. They're going to bring peace to a disturbed and overactive mind and nervous system. And I find it interesting that the word for oil in Sanskrit is sneha, which translates to love. So by adding oils, you're adding love. It's self-love. It's wonderful. And we need these internal and external oils during the season because that's what nourishes us and protects us and insulates us from the cold, dry elements. Now, ghee in particular has a lot of impressive benefits. It protects your GI system. It actually balances cholesterol levels. And I know that's really hard to sort of think adding a fat can help with cholesterol, but ghee does. Provides additional energy, reduces inflammation in the joints, and it helps with certain allergies, especially allergies like mold allergies or ragweed that we can get this time of year. And it also protects you from various chronic diseases as well. Improves eye health and strengthens your immune system. So this time of year, adding ghee is one of the best things you can do. I add a tablespoon every day. I put it on my roasted veggies. I put it on rice. I put it in my coffee. Put it in my oatmeal in the morning. Ghee goes everywhere. So how many of you are using ghee right now? Every day, yes, love it, love it. Not yet, I will now. Now I've just sold it to you. Let's move on to apples. So in Ayurvedic terms, apples are cold and dry. And this is the perfect antidote for coming out of the heat of summer. And that's the beauty and intelligence of eating seasonally. There are the right foods in nature for the right thing. So apples get rid of the heat of the summer. So if the natural world provides us all the medicine that we need, then this really is a call to action to care for our plants and planet, because it's a symbiotic relationship that we can use food as medicine. Now, because apples are dry and mostly astringent, they're going to increase vata. If you have a lot of vata in you and you tend towards gas and bloating or constipation, then a raw apple is probably not your cup of tea, in which case you're going to have to cook your apples. So cooking them makes them much easier to digest for you. In fact, one of my favorite dishes that I do this time of year after I've gone apple picking is to stew some apples up with some cinnamon, some cloves, cinnamon, cloves, maybe a little bit of ginger and ghee. Don't forget the ghee. And cook that all up, and that makes a delicious breakfast or a mid-afternoon snack. Now, if you have more pitta in your system with excess heat, but you've got strong digestion, then apples are amazing for you because pittas tend to store up the heat of the summer, and apples this time of year are going to help you get rid of that heat. And then for you kapha types, the astringency of apples, especially Granny Smiths, for example, are going to soak up any excess fluid in the body. So that's weight, that's water retention, that's congestion, any fluids. Apples are really good for you as far as kapha. So any questions about apples? Okay, adding in, great. And then one of my favorites, This is the time of year to enjoy nourishing cooked sweet grains like oats, wheat, tapioca, and barley. And in fall, good carbohydrates are necessary to sustain us and keep our bodies in balance. And this is another food group that's got a bad rap: no carbs, low carbs. We need carbs for energy. We need carbs to balance our central nervous system. Oats are sweet, which is a grounding taste, and sweet grains make a great warming breakfast. You can add spices, seeds, nuts, dried fruits, to really make a really good, satisfying fall meal to start the day. And don't forget to add your ghee. How many people are doing oatmeal yet? Kathas do better with raw apples. Yep, that's the question that just came in. And then this is the time of year to enjoy all those fall soups and stews made with all those nourishing root vegetables. Now, just be careful. Raw, cold foods like raw salads, raw vegetables, cold smoothies and juices, they're going to aggravate us in these colder sessions. They're going to hinder digestion, and they're going to set up that cycle of imbalance. So I want you to avoid or reduce eating drying foods. Crackers are not great. Popcorn, cold raw salads, meals with no fats. This is not the time of year for those. Whereas an evening bowl of pumpkin or winter squash soup is a wonderful way to get those serotonin levels registering in the brain. And what serotonin is going to do is give you energy, and it's going to make you feel happy doing it. And that's going to be much better than reaching some kind of refined carb or high sugar carb. It's serotonin that regulates our moods. It grounds us and keeps us cheerful. It's also essential for controlling the pattern of overeating. So I would recommend something like half a sweet baked potato in the mid-afternoon, if you have that mid-afternoon sun with some ghee, rather than a chocolate chip cookie. That's going to give you much more energy, and it's going to control for overeating. So if weight is a problem, these fall soups are actually really, really good for you. I love those fall soups. And then one of my favorites, I love the spices in chai. Hands up, who loves chai? Not everybody does, and I don't know why, but yeah, who loves this time of year because it's chai season? Yes, yes. And I just love the spices in chai. It's a great way to get all the balancing tastes together. Now, I am not talking about Starbucks chai, okay? That's all sugar, but making it yourself. And chai actually satisfies all the senses. It sends a signal of satisfaction to your brain, making it less likely that you're going to overeat or overindulge. So again, a mid-afternoon chai is perfect, because we need the sweet and grounding spices of which in fall, and we have those all in our fall food guides. And these spices in chai, they're actually power-packed nutrients. And that sweet, warm, and heavenly fragrance of chai is wonderful. I spent a little bit of time in India, and the place that I was at, every morning I'd get up and it was cold. It was up in the mountains and I was freezing, and I'd go down to the kitchen. They'd be making chai about 6 o'clock in the morning, and it was this wonderful, fragrant, sweet, but spicy. I guess I just love chai. Yes. Is chai okay in the morning? It's wonderful in the morning. Yes. Is it possible to make it without caffeine? I do. Some people put black tea in it. I might in the afternoon if I need a pick-me-up, but most often I just use the chai spices when I make chai. I don't actually put tea in it. Yeah. And we'll get to more questions. Now, in fall, we balance our bodies with 3 tastes predominantly. I mean, you're going to have all 6 tastes, but sweet, sour, and salty are the tastes for fall, because what these do is they bring moisture, warmth, and a strong digestive fire or metabolism, and we all need that. What the sweet taste does is it builds and it strengthens bones, it builds and strengthens bodily tissues, it nourishes ojas, and ojas is just a Sanskrit word for our essential immunity and vitality. And the sweet taste actually enhances complexion. So it's a good taste. Now, refined sugars are not great for us, but the sweet taste which you get in all those root vegetables, they're all sweet, aren't they? Carrots, parsnips, sweet potato. These are really good for this time of year. Without the sweet taste, we're grumpy, we can feel deprived, and we can't sustain those calm, grounded emotions. We're all over the place, and it's the sweet taste that does that. So think of things like sweet nut butters, even like almond or cashew butter. These also have the sweet taste. It's not just something like candy that's sweet. And then the sour taste, we recommend in fall that we start each morning with lemon water, so you get your sour taste that way. And the salty taste, I'm not even worried about how we get that. That's in everything in our diet. So we're definitely getting the salty taste and everything. And in my coaching programs, we give out the seasonal foods list. And that includes things like sweet, heavy root vegetables, the sort of heavy nut butters, as I just mentioned. And we need warm, nutritive, calming foods, such as hot soups and stews, which you've talked about. Mineral broths are great for this time of year, all the stewed fruits, and nourishing cooked grains. But also, for those of us who are animal eaters, we also need wild fish, organic chickens, great this time of year. We talked about the sweet roasted root vegetables, steamed greens. If you have steamed greens this time of year, you want to put a rich dressing on it, like some kind of oily dressing. These are just a few of the ideas for fall. So you probably get the idea by now. We want warm, we want nourishing, lubricating, sweet, calming, and soothing. Fall is not the time to deprive our bodies and souls of love. Otherwise, we'll become depleted. We won't be able to handle the cold of winter. And then come spring, we'll probably get sick. So each season builds upon itself. So what you do in one season then sets you up for the next season, which then sets you up for the next season. So really important to do the right things in each season. So let's look at daily routines for fall. And routines are designed by nature, and you can see circadian routines, seasonal routines, animals have routines, and they're designed to stabilize, nurture, and nourish. And it feels quite exhilarating, doesn't it? As we come from summer into fall, you know, the air becomes crisp, it becomes more fresh, colors become earthy, they're deep, they're rich, they're warm. I mean, they're beautiful colors, those fall colors. And the body loves and responds to routine. And often with our one-on-one clients, that's where we start. What is the best routine for you? Because once you have a good routine, you're going to end up with this glowing health. And a daily practice in fall brings the much needed stability, which is important for thriving in this very changeable and mobile season. So we're going to talk about those routines that are best for you. But I want you to think of these routines as your anchor. They anchor you and bring you to a grounded and secure space. If you're anchored, it doesn't matter how much stress is going on in your world. It doesn't matter how much it's chaos is flying around you. You can stay anchored and grounding in that. You know, often we have clients coming to us, don't we, Lisa, that will say, you know, I'm under such stress. We can't get rid of your stress. I really wish we could. Some of you are under an enormous stress, but we can help you stay grounded so that the stress doesn't affect you physically. And that's the goal. And one of those is putting into place the right seasonal routines. We can't fake good health. None of us can do that, but we do get to choose good health. And we do it one day at a time, and one season at a time. So we're going to go through the day. We're going to start by waking a little earlier than you would do in the summertime. Sorry, a little later, not earlier, a little later than you would do in the summertime, by about half an hour. As the mornings get darker, we can shift into waking up anytime between 6:30 and 7:30 in the morning. Don't get up any later than 7:30, even on the weekends. Otherwise, you'll wake up in kapha time, which means you're going to be a little sluggish, a little heavy for the rest of the day. Some days you may just feel that you need a little bit more sleep. It's colder, it's darker, you don't feel quite like sort of jumping out of bed. But most importantly, when you do get out of bed, allow yourself enough time for your morning routine or your morning practices while getting ready for your day without rushing. Resist the temptation to multitask. We live in a world of fast forward where we have to do everything fast, everything quick. And we often think we can do this by multitasking. None of us do it well. We just think we do. And I'm guilty of it too. But when we slow down and very methodically go through things and mindfully, we actually have more energy and we can actually be more productive. And then what are those routines? So our morning cleansing routine. First off, scrape your tongue. You want to scrape your tongue with a copper tongue scraper. We have those in our shop. Copper is antimicrobial. So that's why we use copper in a lot of things. And that's going to take off the undigested armor or toxins left over from the previous day. So it's a great way to start the day. Obviously, you're going to brush your teeth. You've been doing that since you were kids. And then you're going to start your oil pulling practice. You're going to swish 1 tablespoonful of oral swishes, which is what we provide, or sesame oil if you want, around your gums and teeth. And the purpose of oil pulling, and I know it sounds a bit strange putting oil in your mouth, is it's detoxifying. And remember that any opening from the outside in is an opening for microbes. So that's our mouth, our ears, our nose. So we often oil those things to protect them. As we come into this time of year, things start drying out. The air starts drying. When it gets cold, we put on central heating. That dries us out even further. So all those mucous membranes dry out. And this is part of our immune system. So we want to add oil to help with that immune system. In our oral swish, it's a base. It can be a base of either coconut oil or sesame oil, depending on the season. This time of year, it's sesame oil. We put different herbs and essential oils in it, but you can just use sesame oil that you can get from the grocery store. Sesame oil is naturally antimicrobial as well, so that's really nice. Or antibacterial, I should say. So just a tablespoon, you swish it around. Your dentist will love you because it's detoxifying. Our oral swish is astringent, which means it tightens the gums around the teeth. That's going to help with any kind of receding gums or any kind of gingivitis or gum disease. So it's actually a really good practice to get into. And then here comes that lemon water that we talked about. So drink warm water with a squeeze of lemon every single morning. And the reason is this helps with elimination, which can get a little sluggish, and it helps cleanse the colon. So these are all great things that we need to do first thing in the morning. You can still have your coffee later on in the day, or later on in the morning, or your chai, just that first drink. So I'll get up, I'll go downstairs, I'll make my lemon water after I've done all my tongue scraping and everything. And then I hit my yoga mat, and then I'll drink my warm water as I'm doing some stretching. I still have my coffee after that, yes. So if you're a coffee drinker, that's still fine. You don't have to give up one for the other. And then, we're moving on to skincare. So you want to face your world with glowing skin. Because every day you see yourself in the mirror, you want your inner light to shine through, to reflect on the outside what is happening to you internally. So this time of year, you probably need a more nourishing and moisturizing cleanser to add shine and feed your skin. As the air gets drier and colder, our skin suffers too, as many of you sort of know, you already know this, you go through this every year. So feel free to try our Uniquely Yours skincare line. We just launched that earlier on this year. And what's wonderful about this is because it's personalized, it's customized to you. You go through a skincare assessment, and Lisa can put the link in the chat for you. You go through that assessment, which takes into account 87 different factors like what do you eat, what do you sleep, what's your dosha, what season are you in, what's your climate like, how much blue light do you get, how much sleep do you get, do you drink alcohol every day, because this is going to affect your skin. What are all the factors that are going on in your life? And then we formulate your skincare based upon those factors, based upon what's right for you. So it's absolutely phenomenal. We're really excited about this, which is why I'm showcasing it here. So do feel free to go through the assessment, try it and see what you think. We've had some wonderful reports and testimonials. If any of you are have tried the skincare, just put in chat what you think, what you like. We're hearing some really good things about it. So this is wonderful. And it kind of makes sense that skincare should be personalized along with everything else. Me with dry skin in the Northeast is very different to my sister who lives in the Southeast with dry skin, and she's in humid conditions. Yet, if we went to the Ultas or Sephora's of this world, we would both be sold dry, something that was moisturizing for dry skin. But her dry skin is different to my dry skin. So it kind of needs to be personalized. And then how many of you have a lot of Vata in you for this time of year where your skin can crack, your hands can crack, maybe you get cracks in the side of your mouth, maybe the heels crack. This we often see this time of year as the air gets colder and drier. Then a wonderful product for you is 100 times washed ghee. This is the world's best moisturizer. Takes 5 hours to make. I make it in small batches, especially for this time of year in winter. And this is used around the world in burns units because it is so nourishing. It is wonderful. I like to use it as an eye cream, as I have very dry skin, so my skin can dry out in the wintertime and in fall. So I'll use it as an eye cream and on my hands as well. So you're welcome to try that too. And again, all these are in the shop, and Lisa will put the shop information up there. You're welcome to go and check it out and see what you like. So we talked about that. We talked about the moisturizer, the ghee, the washed ghee. Oh, I wanted to let you know, it is made in copper pots. As I said, it takes about 5 hours and it's washed 100 times in water. So I'll be making up a batch this weekend. So just let me know if that's something that you would like, or just let Lisa know in the chat and we'll make sure that you get some. And then movement. So this is a time to slow down. Use a slow yoga flow to bring balance to that sort of overstimulated nervous system, that overwhelmed mind, that sort of stressed out body. You're going to get really good benefits from a consistent daily practice. And that's also going to build physical strength, which is what we need in this season. We can lose physical strength in the fall. Now, we offer a yoga sequence in our programs to reduce Vata at this time of year. And in my programs, we do include genetic testing as well. So from the genetic testing, we get back what is the right exercise for you. A good example is the Kathas amongst us will love lifting weights. It's easy for them to lift weights. And it's not actually best for them. They probably need more cardio. The Vatas amongst us are running themselves ragged, doing 5-10 Ks every weekend. They need to slow down a bit. It's a little bit, they should be lifting weights actually. So it is interesting genetically what is right for you. And you need to know what is the right exercise for you so that you can get the best results for who you are to stay active. And we go over all that in our programs. But in fall, whatever we do it in a calm and slow and steady way. So let go of that inner rushing that probably resists stillness, and just slow down in whatever movements. So you don't have to race on a walk. Do slow yoga if yoga's your thing. Meditate more. Think about 100-year-old somebody doing Tai Chi. They're doing it slowly and elegantly. This is the season for that. But do practice at the same time every day, because that consistency is really, really important. And the best time for movement is between sunrise and 10 o'clock in the morning for this time of year is first. Second, between 2 and 6. So first off, between sunrise and 10 o'clock, and then between 2 and 6. Do not be exercising at 8 o'clock at night. However, any time is better than not exercising at all. And that kind of makes sense too, doesn't it? So going through our perfect fall day, self-massage. In Ayurveda, we call this Abhyanga, just a Sanskrit word. But self-massage daily with the right dosha oil, which is full of herbs and essential oils to balance and ground you this time of year. You can also use sesame oil. You want to warm some sesame oil up and you apply that on your body too. What the dosha body oil is going to do is it's going to tonify, it's going to nourish the skin, it's going to keep it from drying out. If anybody's using the dosha oil, please just put something in chat about how you like it. It does change season to season. This year it's got marshmallow root in it, or this season, which is really, really nourishing. Come spring, we've got more exhilarating things in it. Come summertime, you want cooling oils, whereas in the fall, our dosha body oil is actually warming, grounding, and comforting. One of the nicest practices, one of the best self-care practices you can do, the very act of just putting oil on your skin. Remember, oil is sneha, it's love. It's the best self-care practice you can do. Calms and grounds the central nervous system. Plus the herbs that are in our dosha oil actually go through, we're using the skin as the largest organ of the body, much like you would use a skin patch, so the herbs can go through the skin to get to the bloodstream. So a wonderful, wonderful practice to be massaging or just applying oils to your body every single day. It's one of the best practices that you can do. Your skin's gonna love it. It's going to calm and ground that central nervous system, and your skin actually starts glowing. It's one of the things we see first happen as people start using the dosha oil. They just have a more lubricated look about their skin, and it starts glowing. It really does. I love my dosha oil. And then every season brings an opportunity to use those healing plant essences as well. In the fall, we use essential oils to warm again, to soothe. And we want to soothe that sort of frenetic, dry, cold quality of this time of year, because those qualities deplete the body and they make us feel anxious. They can make us feel chaotic, a little bit out of balance. So aromatherapy in the fall, what that's going to do is going to stabilize the mind. It's going to make the emotions calm, so there's not that roller coaster of emotions, and it's going to make you just sort of feel peaceful. So it's a deeply effective way to bring focus and stability into your life, into your system, so that you can enjoy the beauty of the season. And in fall, we're going to use sweet, calming, grounding, regulating, warming, and peaceful oils. So some of the oils that you can choose from. Nutmeg's really nice as an essential oil. Cardamom is wonderful for this time of year. Vetiver, sweet orange is one of my favorite. Neroli is lovely. Basil, or you say basil. Chamomile, myrrh. These are all wonderful essential oils for this time of year. Geranium is lovely. It can sometimes cause a reaction with some people are very sensitive, but that's nice. Lavender is always lovely. And sandalwood is really nice this time of year as well. So if you're a person that likes to use essential oils, just remember we never apply essential oils direct to the skin. They need to go into a carrier oil or into a water and make like a spritzer out of it if you want. but don't put oils directly on the skin. They can burn and they're photosensitive. And please don't ingest essential oils unless you really know what you're talking about. I had a client one time and somebody had told her to ingest cinnamon oil. It burnt all her esophagus. So just be careful. These are very strong and very potent. A lot of the products that we make in our seasonal dosha kit have a lot of essential oils in, and I can always tell the day that I've been making a lot of products because I feel like I've overdosed on essential oils. I feel a little bit heavy, a little bit fuzzy, need a bit of breath of fresh air. But yeah, it's fun to do. And this is our seasonal dosha kit. And you can, of course, go out and buy your own moisturizers as well as massage oils like sesame oil. You can use everyday oils, sesame oil, as I said, coconut oil, apricot oil, almond oil. These are all really nice oils. But there are certain oils that are best for your dosha. And these oils are great low-cost ways of getting everything you want. But we do offer an Ayurveda starter kit that my clients normally get when they start with us. And this is made specifically for your dosha and the season that you're in. And that's the oral swish that we talked about for good oral health and immunity for oil pulling. The daily mister, which I love because I put it in my bath sometimes. I'll use it that way. I mist it on my body after my shower. I use it as a toner for my face. What else do I do with it? Oh, I spray the sheet sometimes, and I spray the dryer with it. So just wonderful essential oils that are warming and grounding this time of year. And then there's your dosha body oil as well. And then what we call a nasya oil. I haven't really talked about this. This is just a nose oil. Remember those mucous membranes that dry out and can either cause sinus pains or congestion. Well, we apply just a little bit of oil to those mucous membranes in the nose to avoid that drying out. And especially in the fall, some people can actually get bleeding noses because they dry out so much. And of course, we have our 100 times wash ghee. All the things that we've talked about today, I make for my clients for their seasonal health, and you can find them on my shop or at my website. So let's talk about meals then in fall. So we want breakfast, lunch, and dinner taken at the same time every day. That's the routine part of it. And the reason we do that is that's going to benefit the nervous system. It's going to help with really good digestion. And warm, nourishing meals are going to be best. We've talked about that with a focus on those three tastes: sweet, sour, and salty. So breakfast needs to be warm and nourishing. This is the time of year to start either cooked fruits, if you're not particularly hungry, or cooked grains are really nice. Eat no later than 9 o'clock in the morning. If you're doing summer smoothies, mix the smoothies. Lunch needs to be the main meal of the day. Easy to digest. So think of a Buddha bowl, some rice, some beans, some vegetables, maybe some chicken if you're doing animal protein, and then some ghee on top. This will be a great lunch for you. Eaten around midday. And then your dinner, your evening meal needs to be light and warm and nourishing. So think about those soups and stews that we talked about. That's enough for your evening meal this time of year. And we want your evening meal to be eaten ideally around 6 o'clock. That's hard for a lot of us, but really what we're looking for is a good period of time between your evening meal and when you go to bed. If you're eating at 7:30 and you're in bed by 9, that's not enough time to digest your food. That food's going to stay heavy. It's probably not going to get digested. You're going to feel heavy and sluggish the next morning. Maybe you don't sleep so well, and you're probably going to end up putting on weight over time. So the earlier you eat, the better it is. And then before bed, really important to take some quiet time. I would love it if you could take at least an hour of distraction-free space. When I first mentioned that to people, they're like, oh my God, there's no way I could take an hour. Then try at least starting with 20 minutes. And this is time just for you. It's not time to empty the dishwasher. It is not time to fold the laundry. It is not time to make the kids sandwiches. It is not time to do anything else except for spend it for you. You can meditate if that's what you want to do. And remember, meditating doesn't mean you have to sit cross-legged chanting Om. Meditation can just be turning inwards. Maybe you're journaling, maybe you're praying, maybe chanting, maybe you're reading a good book, but choose an activity that integrates your day and brings you a peaceful night's sleep. One of the things I love to do is I have a little fire pit outside. I'll take my evening drink, and not alcoholic drink, well, sometimes that, but I'll take my evening tea, and I'll sit outside listening to the night sounds with the fire on as it's getting colder in the evening. Maybe you're going to snuggle up on the couch with with your fuzzy slippers and a blanket, or a weighted blanket. That could be really nice. And maybe you're listening to some beautiful music, but it's just time for you to wind down. When we frenetically go from activity to activity to activity, and then watch TV and then fall into bed exhausted, or go to bed with the TV on, there's no time for that rest. There's no time to restore. And it's that rest and restoring that really helps. We know that rest is huge for soothing and restoring that central nervous system. It's also needed for detoxifying. It's needed for healing the body and the mind. And aim for bedtime for about 10 o'clock at night. For most of us, that's not really a problem. So any questions about what we've talked about as far as daily routines so far? Just let me know in chat if there's any questions about what we've talked about so far before I go over some tips for you. We all good? Thumbs up if we're good. Let me know that you're still there and you haven't fallen asleep. Thank you, Jennifer. Terrific. Everybody's on board. All right. So let's look at some tips. So if you have trouble sleeping, and this is a big one that comes up in the fall, you either can't get to sleep or you can't stay asleep, then I'm going to suggest this evening drink. I want you to take a cup of milk. It can be dairy milk if you're doing dairy, or it can be rice milk, or it can be almond milk. One of my favorites is almond milk. You're going to take a cup of almond milk. You're going to put it in a saucepan. You're going to take 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg powder, and you're just going to boil that up. Okay, bring it to a boil. You want to put the nutmeg in the milk to heat up. The therapeutic value of nutmeg as a natural sleep aid only happens when you heat it up. All right, if you just sprinkle it on top of your milk, you're not going to get the benefits. So heat it up, bring it to a boil, put it in a cup, add some raw cane sugar if you want, some honey, or some maple syrup, your sweetener of choice, and you're going to drink that about 20 minutes before bed. As I said, nutmeg is a natural sleep aid, so let's use it. Let's use food as medicine. And then the heaviness of the milk, whether it's a dairy milk or whether it's a nut milk, is really going to ground that central nervous system too. So it is amazing that just a little bit of nutmeg can make all the difference. It always knocks me right out in a very good way, and you'll get a good quality sleep. So that's one tip I have for you. The other tip I have for you is for that mid-afternoon slump, which we can often feel. So this time of year is the time of year to have a mid-afternoon snack. We can deplete our energies very, very quickly. This is from my book, The 25-Day Ayurveda Cleanse. This is one of the pictures of the date and nut balls. And these are really easy to make, and I can send you out the recipe if you want them. You just grind some dates and almonds together and roll them in coconut, and they make a delicious, grounding, what we call sattvic snack for mid-afternoon. And sattvic just means peaceful in the mind. So a wonderful mid-afternoon snack. So I would definitely recommend that. And don't be shy of eating nourishing good foods. So a mid-afternoon snack like this is not going to put weight on you. Well, it depends how many you eat, obviously. But if you're going to eat just a couple with a cup of chai, this would be a wonderful fall and winter mid-afternoon snack. But if you're going to eat like 20 of them, yeah, that's probably too much. So everything in moderation, but a couple of these with a chai is one of my favorite snacks. So I recommend that for that mid-afternoon slump. And then lastly, my tip for anxiety, because anxiety can go up this time of year. Pour an aromatic bath if you have access to a bath with essential oils that are right for your dosha. We do go into that into our programs, what essential oils are right for you. But a great one for this time of year is actually sweet orange. That's right for all people. Smells wonderful, very grounding. So I would recommend doing that. So for Vatas, a hot bath is really nice for you. You need that heat. For Pittas, they probably don't do baths because they probably get too hot and sticky. So you're going to want more of a cooling bath, and maybe some rose water or rose essential oil, which is cooling, would be really nice for you, or vetiver or sandalwood, which is cooling. For Vatas, sweet orange is nice, lavender is nice. These are all nice warming. Geranium is nice for you. And then for Kathas, who probably would love a bath, they could probably fall asleep in a bath. You probably want something a little bit more lighter. So again, sweet orange would be really nice for you. Maybe eucalyptus would be nice for you because you tend towards more congestion and you want a pretty warm bath as well. You could even put some mustard oil in your bath, which would be really nice for you to sort of make you feel a little bit more lively. So great tips for anxiety. Probably as we come into fall and winter, I'll do baths 3 or 4 times a week. And just sinking into that water with those aromatic oils, you just feel all the cares in the world just go. How many people love taking an evening bath? Mustard oil was for Kathas to put in. Yep. You can also put your dosha oil in it as well. Yep. That's really nice. Every night, yes. Really nice. One of the best things that you can do. Unfortunately, we live in a world of showers, and that's not bad. Showers are great, but they don't give you that same grounding feeling that you get from a bath. So let me ask you this then. What does the fall season represent to you? And you can put it in chat. What does fall? When you think of fall, what comes up? Is it a good feeling? The Pittas are normally like, yeah, can't wait for fall. A breath of fresh air. It gets colder, finally. Rest. Yep. Hibernation. Interesting. I would think of hibernation as winter, but maybe fall. Yep. Falling leaves, not a good feeling because I don't like the cold, rainy. Yep. Slowing down in preparation for winter. That's right. Nice. Cooler, less humidity. What do you love about the fall season? Somebody put refreshing. Yeah. What do you love about fall? I love the colors. Yeah. Such rich, vibrant colors. Crisp air, cool. The Pittas are like, yes, love everything about fall. Not sweating. I love that. Where would you like to direct your energies this fall? That takes a little bit more thinking. Self-care. Catherine says routine. Susan said self-care. Lovely. Clearing out clutter. I would save that for spring. Direct energy inwards. Lovely. Slowing down. This is what we do in the fall. Food for health. Wonderful. So these are all wonderful things as we slow down. Those big activities were fall cleaning. Oh, what do we think about fall cleaning? Spring cleaning, definitely. Fall cleaning, no, we want to nestle up, calming, organizing, maybe some organization, getting ready for the hibernation of winter so that we have everything. Maybe that's what you mean by fall cleaning. Everything's in its place as we get ready for winter. Now, let me ask you this. What aspects of yourself is no longer serving you that you are ready to move out of, ready to evolve out of? What aspects of yourself are no longer serving you that you're ready to evolve out of? Another tough one. What are you ready to let go in this season? It is a great question. Yeah, procrastination. Yeah. Lack of motivation, sadness, staying up too late. Yeah, that's a great one. Getting into a good sleep routine. Invaluable for good health. Be more motivated. Yep. We become unmotivated when we deplete our energies. It's hard then to find the energy to be motivated. Being too busy. Yeah, that's our world. We live in a busy world. Getting into a routine. So let me ask you this then, because you all put great things down. How can you do that? Oh, you've all gone quiet now. Fran says she's working on it. Yeah, how can you do that? What will you do? Susan says getting me to help her. Take small steps. Absolutely. Small steps are the best steps. We don't make change in one big step. It's those little steps. Yeah, just you may not have the answer. Taking care of yourself. Yep. It's hard as women, mostly women here. We don't tend to take care of ourselves. We tend to take care of everybody else first and foremost. Presupposed ideas, remembering the importance of routines. Yeah, absolutely. You got it. So let's recap just a little bit. Some of the big things that we're realizing here. We are seasonal beings, and the Nobel-winning science of circadian science backs this up. So number one, we are seasonal beings. And hopefully, if nothing else, you realize that from this webinar. But then we want to make sure that on a daily basis, we're eating seasonally, we're eating the right foods appropriate to each season that are just for your body type as well, or your dosha. And of course, we talked about eating at the optimal time of day, that lunch should be your biggest meal, your evening meal should be the lightest this time of year. We also talked about routines that are beneficial for this season. So we don't want to trigger a survival response. When we go under stress, we trigger that survival response. And the body under stress could be that it's not eating the right foods in the right seasons. It could be that we're not going to bed at the right time or getting up at the right time or doing the right exercises for us. This is all stresses our body up. And when we trigger that survival response, we're in that fight or flight mode constantly. That wears us down. That's what gets us to a physician for a diagnosis. So we want to avoid that. And one of the ways we can do that is through doing the routines that are right for the season. And that's what we do in our programs. You know, we've put together, or I put together, the culmination of 15 years of research and evidence from the best of Ayurveda that says there is no one size fits all. And the best of Western medicine, things like circadian science and genetics, to really personalize what's right for you. And in fact, most people, when they first come to us, need help to know what is right for them seasonally. So in our programs, we create really comprehensive wellness plans that are based upon an Ayurveda diagnosis of all your symptoms and imbalances. And then we also combine it with the results from your genetics. That way we end up with a really multifaceted plan that is broken down into exercise support, lifestyle support, nutritional support, even mental health support. And in these programs, I tell you what to eat for your body type and goals, when to sleep, how to exercise. So everything is tailored to you personally. That way we can put all the pieces of the puzzle together for you and then come up with a roadmap that is right for you. And that's our transformational wellness plan. And of course, if that's what you need, then reach out to me. Lisa is putting my email in the chat box so you can have a complimentary consult. Let's just chat. There's no obligation. Let's just see what's going on with you, see what health challenges you might be having. Let's get to the root cause of those. And then once we've unpacked that, then we can sort of look at strategies that might best work for you. However, changing things to live seasonally is where most of my clients start. And it's a great way to start on that health journey by resetting your body through eating right for the season. It's not the only step we take, but it's often where we start to gently guide clients back to health, and sometimes for the first time in years. So if you're tired of trying tons of different diets and supplements without any real improvement in your mental and physical well-being, and we see that so much, and if you're really serious about your health and transforming it and want to get back to the person that you used to be, that vibrant, energized person that you know is there, and we hear that a lot where people will say to me when they first talk to me, I'm not the person I used to be. I want to get back to that person. And if that's you, then I want you to take your health into your own hands. Nobody else is going to do it for you. Nobody else is going to watch out for your health. It is only you. And I want you to have an experience like thousands of my clients, some of them are on this webinar now, who are around the world, where they've brought a sort of renewed freshness into their life, a completely different experience and perspective of life. And you'll see it. You'll see it in your demeanor. Your eyes will get brighter. You're going to feel different. You're going to feel more grounded. You're going to feel more calm. You're going to feel more empowered. Your skin's going to become more vibrant. People are going to look at you and say, you know, what are you doing differently? So give it a try, and together we can decide what's the best fit for your situation. And one of the things that we're very excited is to talk about our Navigator plan. And our Navigator plan is a personalized program, recognizing that there is no one size fits all. And in our Navigator plan, we do a customized transformational wellness plan, just that we talked about. We also include your genetics. So we'll do a DNA test on you and include that. We do a nutritional plan as well. What are the right foods for you that are always going to be the right foods for you, no matter what season you're in or where you live in the world? And then an exercise plan. What is right for you? We are often doing the wrong things to get the best results for who we are. A lifestyle plan. What are the routines that are right for you? They have to be seasonal, yes, but what's right for you personally? Me getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's a killer. I'm out for the count for 2 days. But a cafe getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, although they probably wouldn't, it might be the best thing. Not that necessarily anybody needs to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but the point is what's right for you is not what's right for me. A mental health plan, whether it's depression, whether it's brain fog, whether it's anxiety, we see all these things. And we live in a crazy world, so it does affect us emotionally as well. And then a herbal plan. Let's use food as medicine. What are some herbs out there that would be really good for you to get you to your health goals quicker? And we will do all of that for just $497, because we were hearing from people. The one-on-one plans are phenomenal. They are year-long plans, but not everybody can commit to a full year. Some people just want the information. Some people just want to add on 3 months of coaching. So that's where we're sort of moving towards. This is our first step in that. It is our Navigator plan. And Lisa will put in chat if that's something you're interested in, or you want to talk to me about it, or what else it has. So we're pretty excited to launch that this month. Yes. Oh, and a private Facebook group in case you're interested for support. So let me come back to questions. So the way I see it, you have 2 doors. One is doing the same thing the same old way. You're going through the same old door, doing the same thing the same old way every single day, but you expect a different result. And what is that the definition of? You can write to me, you can put it in chat. Doing the same thing the same way and expecting a different result. Insanity. Monotony. Is that too, Susan? I love it. She's funny. Insanity, yes. And how many times do we just keep doing the same thing in the hopes that it will get better or something will change, and it never ever does. And I often have people who have signs and symptoms that something's not right. Maybe they're not sleeping as well as they used to. Maybe their digestion's not as good as it used to be. And they ignore those signs that something's wrong. And then 5 years, I don't want you to come back in 5 years' time with even greater problems because you didn't take care of them then. It is much easier to be preventative than go back and try and correct already a diagnosis. So that's the first door. The second door is moving forward in a positive way so that you can have the health and vitality no matter the season. So if you're not already a client with me, then I invite you to jump on a complimentary phone consult. We'll spend 30 minutes. We'll talk about, what's going on in your world. What health challenges do you have? What are you doing that might be right or might be hindering you seasonally that we can change right there and then? And what is that right path? So again, you can just email me direct and I'll send you out a link to my calendar, and we can set something up. All right. Okay, you guys, it has been amazing. That's it. It has been terrific. I want to honor our time together and make sure that I end kind of on time. And I do appreciate you, absolutely. And I look forward to talking with you soon. So go ahead, chat with us if you have any questions. Chat with me if you want to talk about your health. You have nothing to lose. And I do look forward to chatting with you soon. But I'm going to open it up just a little bit for any last minute questions in these last few minutes. Just post your question in chat or raise your hand, and I'll get to you. Or I'll stop sharing and I'll be here for you. Yeah. Any questions at all? Susan says, please forgive my... Susan, you weren't silly. I thought it was funny. You have a great sense of humor. Any last minute questions? I just want to make sure that you get the value that you wanted when you came in. Is there any burning question that you have? You may have to unmute, Susan, if you want to talk with me. Or you may have to put your hands up and then we may have to unmute you. I'm not sure. Then I'm assuming there's no questions in chat. You're all just staring at me. Hi. So I love the fact that we got to spend this time. Thank you, Susan. Appreciate that. And I look forward to talking with some of you soon. And there's an email that's already gone out to you. I will send a replay of this to you along with some links to maybe the date and nut balls or anything else that I think you might like. But let's talk soon. And I'm going to end the call now. So take care, loves. Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.